at the end of the day, we want to be on time for heaters, and we're going to be the most on-time team in the country. That's our goal.
Welcome back to another episode of On the Subject. We're here at Purdue University. It's a very special place in my heart. Spent 1 year here in 2015 with a very special guest. He hails from West Chicago, Illinois, had an incredible both amateur and professional career, is on the best team in Purdue baseball history, has pro baseball stories to share with us, and now is an incredible coach leading us into the new chapter of Boilermaker baseball. Barrett Serrato, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited.
Yeah, super excited to have you here. And so, what made you come to Purdue? Let's start there, because you're a player and a coach here, which is pretty special.
Yeah, well, playing-wise, you know, Coach Schreiber, Doug Schreiber's one of
the coach that I coached me.
Yep,
yeah.
Shout out Doug. You played for? Yeah. Him and his staff, you know, Jamie Sailors and Spencer Allen, you know, they were great. Everybody talked about opportunity, and you know, just had a really good feeling when I came to campus, you know, between Purdue and a couple other schools, and it just seemed like the right fit, distance from home and everything, so it was a great spot.
Well, so you were a really highly recruited prospect. You got drafted out of high school. How did you navigate that decision, and what were your other offers?
Well, I guess Mom's smarter than I am. That was the biggest thing. You know, Mom wanted to go to school, and you know, had a couple different options. You know, there was a couple other Big Ten schools, and you know, the Michigan States of the world. You know, schools like Creighton. You know, there's a couple schools out west, but you know, like I said, the biggest thing for me was staying close to home and opportunity to go earn a starting spot. And that's the one thing Coach Schreiber talked about. It wasn't going to be given, but it's fair, it's even. You know, it's open if you want it, and it just felt like a good place when it came to, you know, coming down to the final decision. And then the pro side, you know, I just wasn't ready. I was young, and I was 17 at the time, so when I showed up to school, I was still
very
17.
young.
Yeah, so you know, needed to develop, and like I said, I'm glad parents and, you know, the people around me, you know, helped make that decision to come to school, and ended up being, you know, the best one for me.
So when you would talk to an athlete you're recruiting now, how would you encourage them to take the collegiate route rather than going directly out of high school?
You know, I think it's development, right? Like at the end of the day, it's about getting a chance to put yourself in position to play in the big leagues, right? You know, as a guy who was drafted, I don't want to just say I was a draft pick, right? Like, you want to say you had an opportunity to make a run at playing in the big leagues. And I think, you know, the development side, especially with the way college athletics has changed, and, you know, the age difference now and what it is. And, you know, I think college baseball is continuing to evolve and take steps forward in development. And I think guys are coming out more prepared to play in the big leagues. And you see it with the guys that are making the big leagues so much earlier, right? The Bryce Harpers and the Mike Trouts are starting to happen more and more, right? Those guys are starting to come up now right out of college instead of, you know, the Mike Leakes, right? Like those guys of the world, they're starting to come in September, right? Paul Skeens, and I think just the development side is going to help out so much better, and they're more prepared when they leave.
I absolutely agree. And, you know, you talk about coming to a place like Purdue. Imagine getting drafted out of high school and, you know, going to the minor leagues versus the experience you could have playing here. You played in both. Can you talk about your experience playing, you know, high-end Division I baseball versus the minor leagues, and what a selling point it is, especially Power 4 baseball today and the stadiums we have built?
Yeah, I think, you know, just the resources, right? Like you look at, especially the lower, back then, I know it's a little bit different now, right? And I don't have the firsthand experience, but, you know, you're treated so much better here now, right? You've got the athletics-only dining hall. You've got the facilities here. You've got the cages, right? Like, you've got every resource you need to be successful, and teams of people. And at least back then, you were on your own at the minor league level, right? You know, the pay is low. You're trying to feed yourself. You're sleeping on air mattresses. You're on the road every 3 to 5 days. Like, it's a grind, and you know, I don't want to say it's more comfortable, but it's a lot more comfortable living here to be able to develop. You're still playing really good competition. You look at just you've got the TrackMan, you look at the metrics, and you look at the skill sets of players nowadays. So you're preparing yourself. You're in a better climate to develop. And, you know, I think the college side has evolved into being, you know, as close as you get to being in the big leagues, right? Like, just from, you know, a resource and people standpoint.
What would you say is the biggest you know, development you've seen across the Big Ten from when you played, you know, the early 2010s versus now with the addition of the West Coast teams?
Geez, the talent levels has evolved, and it was funny back in 2012 when my last year here, we went out to UCLA and played a a non-conference series at the end of the year, and now they're in our league, right? Last year they came here, for a regular season, weekend series, and it's just unique, right? Like it's starting to, you're starting to expand, right? Now you've got West Coast and Midwest, and the East Coast with Maryland. Like you're starting to get that big league feel. You're starting to get that cross country feel. It's becoming unique, and it's something different. Especially in our league, it's really different compared to all the other ones because the regions have changed, and you've got the changing time zones and that type of stuff. So it's fun to be able to do that. It's a challenge, and it's something when you look at comparing professional baseball to, especially at the big league level or higher levels now, hey, we're getting on flights, we're going to the West Coast and we're coming back and we're changing time differences or time zones, and our guys are learning a lot. They're getting a lot of experience in that realm.
Yeah, can you talk about what got you into coaching? What made you so passionate about helping steer student athletes towards a better life? Like, so inspired by what you've been able to do across multiple programs now. What got you that passion, and what's it like being on the coaching side versus the playing side?
Yeah, well, I wasn't envisioning getting into coaching. I was still, thinking about playing. And right at the end of my career, Jeff Duncan, who's the head coach at Kent State, and was actually in my role here my last 3 years. We had a conversation, and we're really close. And he brought up he might have an opening on staff, and with hitting and infield. And he was newer, trying to help with language and get his culture instilled. And I got that opportunity, and I was really fortunate, to be around a program there that was, I got high expectations, really enjoyed it. And since then, being able to be in this, it's my 11th or 12th year.
Well, that's incredible. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Just to see the guys continue to get better and evolve, and, winning's fun, right? Like to be able to experience championships, to be able to experience regionals, and just to be able to experience success, and have an opportunity to go play past year. Like to see guys go do that now, and kind of be a part of the work and see the behind the scenes and what guys put into it. That for me, that's the fun part, because our guys work hard, and the guys I've had over the years, like I said, have been really fortunate to be around some really good players, and to see them go on and accomplish what they want, and chase dreams like that. That's the fun part.
Yeah, and you were part of one of the best teams in Big Ten history, the 2012 Purdue team. You were a top 10 team. You hosted a regional. What made that team so special, and how can you recreate that today at Purdue?
Man, just personality and identity. I think, we were such a close group. Personalities really blended well. And, as a recruiting coordinator, right, as you look forward, can we get a nucleus of guys that are a bunch of different personalities but can mesh well, and do they have common goals and interests? That's the biggest thing. So as we're recruiting, right, like guys that want to win championships and want to play professional baseball, but guys that want to play for Purdue, that's the biggest goal. And if we can find those guys that have common ground, and that, we're going to be on the right page, and hopefully having good environments to be able to chase something special.
So how would you describe Purdue baseball? Like, what would your, like 3 main words around the program be?
Man, tough, passionate. I'm going to go with winners. I want winners.
We want winners here. This is Purdue. We got to win games. I love it. So we're going to go through a recruiting rapid fire now. How can we be able to answer these just authentically, off the cuff?
Okay.
Do your thing. We're here to amplify your message. So baseball metrics, batting average or exit velocity?
Batting average.
ERA or throwing velocity?
ERA.
Stolen bases or 60-yard dash?
Stolen bases.
Slugging percentage or home runs?
Let's go slugging.
Let's go slugging. Okay, now we have, off the field choices. Test scores or GPA?
GPA.
Showcases or tournaments?
Tournaments.
Email or DMs?
Man, I'm going to go DMs. Today, it's a new world. I'm going DMs.
Where do we DM you? Twitter?
Twitter or Instagram are probably the most common. I'd say Twitter's the most common.
Awesome. That's super helpful. We really love helping our student athletes get a hold of coaches. That's great. And I love it because Coach Goff doesn't have any social media, so you're helpful there. That's good. AP classes or multi-sport athlete?
Multi-sport athlete.
Okay, now we have insight questions. So you just go on a random tangent, and there's no right or wrong answer. We just want to hear your truth. One recruiting myth that needs to die.
Ooh, one recruiting myth that needs to die. You need to specialize in baseball only to be recruited.
I love that. Multi-sport athlete, that's where you got to be able to invest in your time. What's one mistake most families make?
I would say putting pressure on the process. Everybody's process is a little bit different. I think at times families try to rush it when it doesn't need to be rushed. I think as long as they trust that everything's going to work out in the best situation, it will. Typically that happens. But I would say people try to rush the process too quickly.
Yeah, take your time. We're in no rush here. You got to be able to make, this is a 40-year decision. Don't make the wrong decision. What's one thing that athletes should start earlier?
Ooh. Athletes should start earlier. Man, I would say
Go for it.
chores and time management at home.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they get here, that's the one thing that I'd say that's the biggest adjustment is them. They have to do laundry on their own.
Yeah.
They have to get,
That's the
learn
worst.
how to get from the
Yeah.
dorm to the practice to, the field to back to the Breeze Center, right? I would say just time management and probably learning how to do some things chore-wise at home. That's probably the biggest transition.
That's huge, adjusting as a freshman. What's one thing parents need to stop doing?
Everything for your kid. Everything for your kid.
Yeah, let him be a man. You got to grow up.
Yeah, I let them fail. Like, let them fail.
Failure is the best lesson.
I think I would say those two things. Like, let them fail and let them help build routines for themselves.
Yeah, I completely agree. What's one coaching lesson you learned the hard way?
The classic, I found myself doing this as a young coach. It's not that hard. At some point, it was hard for you as a player, and I think that's the biggest thing is reminding yourself that this is a hard game, and
So hard.
Sometimes it takes time to really get through, work on things and to make it click.
Yeah, it's a humbling game. What do you think the best way is to prepare for that adjustment going from high school to a freshman at Purdue?
I think it's just consistency in habits, and I think it's consistency in, the level of play, right? The level of play steps up, but I think it's just the quality of your process, right? Like if I have a routine in drill work, if I'm hitting a line drive off the back net, is it 10 out of 10? Is the crispness of what I do, is that an everyday elite process? I think that's the biggest thing, because you look at older guys, it now becomes less fun. The successful ones, it's less overthought, I'm mechanical, and it's more trust my process, be elite at that, and then the game takes care of itself.
Absolutely, totally agree. I love the approach here. And so we want to make sure that we have a chance to be able to wrap and give a lot of intention around what you're building at Purdue. And so we love them with some couple legacy questions. So what would be your 60-second pitch to a student athlete at Purdue?
Ooh, 60-second pitch. I tell everybody this that we recruit. Purdue will give you everything you want as long as you're willing to work for it. It's such a special degree in education, right? The student experience here is unbelievable. You just look at college athletics from, Big Ten football in the fall and women's volleyball to, basketball in the winter, right? And we averaged over 1,500 fans a game last year, and I think we had 5 or 6 crowds of over 2,000, and our home opener this year was over 1,900. So, the support, the people here are here for that. But then, just the tools and the resources from the student athlete or the dining hall, right? And, our nutritionist, Elaine, and Coach Webb, our strength coach, and just the support staff, and Dr. Howard, right? Like, I think you have every resource here to be successful. Now it just comes down to what you're willing to put into it. And I tell everybody this, like, I only say this because I'm a product of it, right? Like, I was able to experience it, and, we've got guys coming that are going to be products of it, and we're excited. But, this is a place that will give you everything you could dream of as long as you're willing to work.
I love that. What an incredible place to play baseball. And so for you, why should a student athlete choose Purdue over other Big Ten programs?
People. You win with people, and I think we have as good a human beings and support staff, like I said, from John Madia to
he's
Coach,
amazing. Yeah.
Yes, and Coach Goff and Dr. Houghton, like I said, Elaine and Coach Webb, and just the support here is unbelievable. And you're going to find people 20 years from now when you leave here that they're going to be in your corner. So you win with people, and I think Purdue in that realm separates itself immensely from other places.
And one anti-question, what type of player shouldn't come to Purdue?
Lazy and entitled, and guys that don't want to be coached hard.
Getting coach hard is a privilege. And so lastly, what do you want your legacy to be with Purdue baseball? And you have a very special impact because you are such a great player here and you're a great coach. What does that legacy look like for you one day at Purdue baseball?
You know, I really hadn't thought about it. You know, at the end of the day, it's about our guys, right? Like, I think that's the biggest thing. I'm in the background, and I like being that way. I had my time. So, you know, I just want, I guess, down the road, it's not even me. It's just I want this program to have, you know, the proudest alumni base there is, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Can we have guys, when they leave this place, want to come back, want to support it, and be proud of what's going on, and to be honest, have high standards for what's going on. When guys come back and it's not going right, say, hey, we won, like, right? Like, I want that to be a tradition and you know, a long-standing history. So that's our goal, is to be able to build that for a long period of time, and I think build, you know, as strong and proud of an alumni base as we can. I think that's the biggest goal.
Well, I'm super proud to be an alum here, and I'm so grateful for you giving us the time today. This is an incredible episode. Please continue to be able to engage with these so we can be able to showcase you all the incredible programs across the country. Hard to be able to match opportunity you have at Purdue from an academic and athletic side. Thank you so much for your time today, Coach.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.